Okay, don't diversify. When you go and do podcasting, don't diversify. A couple of people said, "You're wearing a bike jacket this morning." Yeah, I brought the bike down to the marina, by the way, and it's a little bit chilly, so I decided I'll leave it on. But yeah, when you're doing high profit podcasting, the secret is not to diversify. It isn't to do niching either. It isn't to go narrow. It is to pick your subject matter and focus on that. And yes, I know there are lots of subjects you can choose from, and there's probably lots of subjects you are interested in. You know, myself, I'm a painter. Do I do them on oil painting? Do I do them on podcasting? Do I do them on leadership? Do I do them on just business growth? Do I do them on wealth creation? And you have all these subject matters that you could do. And the attitude sometimes is, look, I'll try a bit of everything in my channel, and I'll talk about everything in my channel, and then just see which one works. And the truth of the matter is, they probably all work, or maybe none of them will work. That isn't the secret. The secret is, which one will you work on? Which one will you focus on? And it takes me back to, people with investing. They go, millionaires and multi-millionaires, all you guys have multiple investment streams, and you try lots of different things. And that's true. But starting off, it isn't true. Starting off, it was focusing on one, putting 100% energy into one and learning one really well. So whether that is going to be property, so say you choose, you're going to invest your money in property and make money in property, you stick to it until you're making the $1 million a year out of your property, until the profits are just overflowing so much out of your property, you go, now I can afford to diversify and learn another skill set. Maybe it's in Bitcoin, maybe it's in Forex trading, maybe it's in daily share trading. But it certainly isn't diversifying at the start. And this is what applies to high profit podcasting. And look, you may feel like, well, if I only talk about one thing, I may run out of things to talk about. That's not going to be true either. These are what's called subject matters under a broad title on top, or a broad subject matter on top, and your subject titles underneath. And then we use the subject titles to turn them into books, and we go into that in a little bit more detail in training programs, etc. So don't diversify. This is such a big one. So what I'm saying is, you pick a subject matter that's quite broad. So for me, it's high profit podcasting. I love podcasting, whether it's video podcasting, audio podcasting, even blogs for me are a form of podcasting. And I know guys that make $1 million a year doing blogs, and they do it really, really well. But you pick your subject matter. That's the secret. It isn't the style of broadcast that you're going to do that's going to work for you. It's going to be the subject matter. For me, it's high profit podcasting, and people say, well, how much can you talk about that? Well, as you see, I can talk about diversity, I can talk about lots of things, but let's get a little bit smarter in our subjects. Someone doing high profit podcasting and starting to go, okay, how do I turn my podcast, either video, audio, or written, a blog, into a book, say? And there's a strategy for that. And why would you start off with a video? What advantages, what advantages does audio have, and what advantages does blogs? I start with video because I can take the audio track out of it, and then I can take the text out of it, and then I've got video podcasts, I've got audio podcasts for the one-on-one channel, the one-on-one connection channel, which is online radio basically. And then I can turn it into text, so I've got blogs, and then I can turn those texts, each one of my subjects that I've done on the podcast, I can turn into chapters in a book, and I can use all this combined information to create training programs. On top of that, I can say, well, if you start to make money, how do you keep money? And look, I'm not a financial planner, but I can tell you that when I talk about things like that, how to keep your money, and talk about don't diversify when you start your initial investments, that gives me a whole other range of subjects to talk about. It allows me to interview lawyers as well about protecting generational wealth. You're going to make this money, and you really don't want to lose it. Certainly not have it all splintered up and taken away by governments when it transfers to the kids or the grandkids or whatever, or another family member, or wherever you want your money to go. So under your topic, You know, we could be talking about podcasting, how to structure a podcast. We could talk about storytelling. We could talk about how to train yourself, because you're doing podcasts, you're probably going to get asked to do public speaking, and then how to present from a stage and then capture that for your podcast. We can talk about finance and talk to specific finance people about protecting your wealth. We can talk to lawyers about wills and succession planning. There are lots of subject matters we can talk about, all geared to you're making your money with podcasting. How do you keep it? But at the essence, when it comes to choosing the subject matter for your podcast, choose one. They'll all work. It's got nothing to do with that. It's all to do with which one will you work on. I'll see you next time.